It's only been a few months since the launch of the GTX 1060, which was designed to compete against AMD's RX 480, but soon after the more affordable sub $200 pocket was occupied with AMD's RX 460 and 470, this was actually a very important price segment for mass market gamers, and at the time NVIDIA lacked anything that could compete since the GTX 950 used the previous generation Maxwell architecture. So the green response is here with the GTX 1050 and 1050 Ti priced at $110 and $140 respectively. In this video, we will primarily focus our attention on the custom overclocked 1050 Ti from Gigabyte, the G1 Gaming 4G. You can find how the less expensive GTX 1050 performs in comparison on our website. Full performance analysis is linked in the description.
It's super compact with a lot of potential. The ASRock Desk Mini lets you populate your own 6th or 7th gen CPUs. There are 2 M.2 slots for storage and network accessories and 2 SSD mounts inside the crazy small 5-inch chassis. Building a tiny PC just got super affordable with ASRock.
So this price point of $140 for the Ti version slots perfectly well between the $100 RX 460 and $170 RX 470, filling in the price gap that was previously occupied by the 750 Ti. We will see no Founders Edition of this card, so users can pick their flavor of a custom card. However, the Gigabyte card I have here costs $30 more than the reference pricing, placing it right against the RX 470, which isn't good news at all. In terms of upgrading, the GTX 1050 Ti is supposed to offer a great path for people still using GTX 1050 Ti and GTX 650 Ti cards. Meanwhile, users upgrading from the GTX 950 will see an FPS boost, especially at DX12, but don't expect the quantum leaps forward like previous Pascal cards. Remember, when it launched the GTX 950, that was about 15% more than the GTX 1050 Ti. Interestingly, the GTX 1050 Ti actually costs less than the 750 Ti did when it launched. The 1050 Ti shares the same number of CUDA cores, texture units, ROPs, and memory bus as the GTX 950, while having a lower TDP of 75 watts with 4 GB of GDDR5 memory. The real differentiating factor is evident in clock speeds, since NVIDIA's new GP107 core is able to reach higher frequencies while still maintaining very low power consumption numbers. Now, some of these cards are really focused on a plug-and-play mentality for upgrading existing systems, since they don't require a 6-pin auxiliary power connector, since the motherboard slot supplies all the power. However, in this case, our pre-overclocked G1 and other higher clocks at 1050 Ti's, a 6-pin connector is required, and that grants plenty of headroom for overclocking. One thing to note is that the cards without additional power connector won't be able to overclock all that much, since NVIDIA's GeForce Boost strives to maximize clock speeds with the given 75 watts. Our Gigabyte 1050 Ti comes with 2 performance modes. The gaming mode clocks the base and boost frequencies 6% higher than reference clocks, while the overclock mode boosts frequencies above 2 extra percent versus the game mode. This is possible thanks to the extra power provided by the 6-pin, otherwise the reference design cards are strictly limited to factory boost clocks. Physically, this card shares some characteristics with the bigger G1 GTX 1080. The plastic construction on the shroud feels less high-end, and the orange accents give the card some character. The WindForce 2X cooling has dual 80mm fans with unique blades, which are also found on the G1 1080. This enhances the airflow by 23% over traditional fans, plus their fan stop feature turns off the fans below a certain core temperature. The use of custom components on the PCB like efficient MOSFETs and solid capacitors should help boost system performance and durability of this card in the long run, especially once the overclocking mode is engaged. The backplate is clean and simple. It comes with brushed aluminum finish, but I also wanted to point out the size of this card. Compared to offerings from EVGA, ASUS, MSI, etc., the G1 1050 Ti is a bit longer at just under 9 inches, but still on the safe side of upgrading older systems with smaller cases. The I/O consists of single dual-link DVI port, 3 HDMI 2.0 ports, and a single DisplayPort 1.4 connector. RGB has made its way into this card with just the logo and the fan stop sign lit. Customization is done through the Extreme Engine utility app, giving us 6 different effects with brightness control. This is also where you'll select the performance mode with a user-friendly overclocking tab with no hidden settings or switches. Plus you can play around with voltage curves and fan speeds, which is a nice touch. So let's begin with the benchmarks. The G1 frame rate you see was achieved from the overclock performance mode, gaining us between 5 to 8% higher frame rates than the reference version, and that was consistent throughout the titles at 1080p at the highest settings. As expected, it performed right in between the RX 460 and 470 with a significant improvement compared to older GTX 950 and 750 Ti. Now, that was for DX11 titles. We've since expanded our DX12 testing suite and added a bit of Vulkan testing as well. As you can see, even our overclocked GTX 1050 Ti can keep up with the RX 470. This has been a long time concern for us because it seems the large frame rate advantages Pascal cards enjoy so much in DX11 don't translate into DX12. Will this continue as time goes on? We'll make sure to look at this as more games using Microsoft's new API are released. What's fascinating is how efficient the 1050 Ti is, outperforming the RX 460 by a good margin while consuming less power. That's important for people looking to upgrade older systems since they won't have to upgrade their PSUs. Gigabyte mentions a lot about their custom cooling being extremely quiet, so let's have a listen. Honestly, it was pretty much inaudible over the noise from my case fans, and even without additional fans running, I'm not sure I would have heard it. As for temperatures, the G1 Gaming ran extremely cool and didn't surpass 65 degrees Celsius during our testing even after hours of gameplay. In terms of overclocking, the best I was able to achieve was a core base clock of 1542 MHz and a boost of 1656 MHz. It's not going to significantly improve frame rates, but I respect the results. I'm going to stop here for a second and talk about the price of the Gigabyte G1 GTX 1050 Ti because I actually find it to be quite expensive at this price point. At $140, the GTX 1050 Ti is an excellent value for someone looking to do a drop-in upgrade in their aging gaming system. But paying $30 more for this card alone is just too high. I mean, if you put it in simple math, that's 22% more than the reference card. At which point you might as well pick up the RX 470 and that will run circles around this card, especially in DX12 environments. The additional overclocking headroom on cards with the 6-pin might feel appealing, but value is stripped out of the package when prices of the Ti version approach the $170 mark. So the success of the new card lies in reference pricing. Otherwise, this affordable slot-in solution loses focus on what makes the 1050 Ti such a good card. And for conclusion, at the current price of Gigabyte's higher-end 1050 Ti, it appears to have a poor value. The sweet spot for the 1050 Ti hovers between the $140 mark and the $150 mark, and that makes it perfect blend for performance and ease of use. If you do want to spend that kind of money Gigabyte is asking for this card, look towards AMD, since the RX 470's newly reduced price of $170 makes it the outright winner here.
Assembling your Vertigear gaming chair just got a whole lot easier with a simple insert mechanism of the back seat onto the side rails, so you mount the side screws much faster. A true one-man job. Assembly made easy by Vertigear.
For a more in-depth analysis on DX12 and how the GTX 1050 performs, make sure to read our full review article linked down below. We also have the Asus and EVGA cards tested on the site. And we might do a 1050 Ti roundup video to find the best cards, so if you're interested, let us know in the comments down below. I'm Ibor with Canucks. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.